Two franchises that I'm always rooting for and have been playing for a decade plus now have been the Fire Emblem franchise and also Xenoblade Chronicles. And throughout the time, there's been varying levels of support from fans, popularity, and everything. But one thing is sure with these games is that they've had to claw, scratch, and fight for every single sale they've gotten over the years. And even to one point with the Fire Emblem franchise, that if Fire Emblem Awakening didn't sell a certain amount, Intelligent Systems might have had to shut down Fire Emblem for good. But now we're at the point with these recent sales numbers that Nintendo has released via the CESA. It looks like Fire Emblem is here to stay and more. So we're going to talk about that and much more in just a bit. But before we do, what's good everyone? OJ here. Welcome back to another video. Please make sure you hit that like button, subscribe if you're someone new, and click that notification bell to get my videos first. Now, according to these new CESA numbers that Nintendo has filed, these sales are as of December 2021. So they are a bit dated because we're all the way in pretty much September now at this point. So it's not completely up to date, but it's giving us updates on games that Nintendo hasn't updated in quite some time. So we know a bit more about the sales than what Nintendo's even reported in their investor meetings. And two games that I want to focus on right now at this point are Fire Emblem Three Houses, because that got a nice update, and also Xenoblade Chronicles 2, in addition to Bayonetta 2. So let's go over at the bottom, then work our way up. We're going to start off with Bayonetta 2. I'm going to make a separate video on this, talk about some stuff with Bayonetta 3, because that game's getting ready for launch. But to see that Bayonetta 2 has sold 1.04 million, that pretty much dispels all the nonsense that you would see here and there, that Bayonetta 3 could potentially be a flop because Bayonetta 2 didn't do well on the Nintendo Switch, or that Nintendo fans didn't go out there and support Bayonetta 2. No, that's not true. Nintendo fans went out there and supported Bayonetta 2 because it's over 1 million units sold as an old port, as a port that many already purchased on the Wii U. So Bayonetta 2 by itself has sold over 1 million. Now that doesn't count the Bayonetta 2 plus 1 pack. I'm not 100% sure if it counts that or not, because it is a standalone as well. You can just get Bayonetta 2 by itself, or you can get Bayonetta 2 with Bayonetta 1. So those are different SKUs, so I'm not 100% sure, but what I do know is that Bayonetta 2 is over 1 million units. So that is definitely good news for Bayonetta 3 coming up. Now next up is Xenoblade Chronicles 2. Now we've got an update now to 2.44 million, almost 2.5 million for Xenoblade Chronicles 2. Just to let you guys know, that is an incredible number for the Xenoblade Chronicles franchise. That is better than pretty much all of the previous Xenoblade Chronicles games combined, with the original Xenoblade Chronicles and also Xenoblade Chronicles X. So that is very good to see that Xenoblade Chronicles 2 is over 2.44 million. And it's one of the things that I personally felt that the franchise had so much potential. So when people would say stuff like, why is Nintendo even, focusing so much on Xenoblade? What's going on with this franchise? It doesn't do as well as other things. I think that now we have a clear picture that Xenoblade Chronicles 2 as an RPG, as a major RPG for Nintendo, is right there. It's right there in the thick of it. 2.44 million units for that style of game, not really getting any major price drops, so pretty much being sold at full price or near it for most of those copies, plus the special edition, plus the DLC, because this doesn't count Torn of the Golden Country. We're probably looking at 3 million units plus if you add in that, and of course up-to-date numbers with the hype from Xenoblade Chronicles 2 leading into Xenoblade Chronicles 3. A number of people were purchasing the game as well to get ready. So I do feel that Xenoblade Chronicles 2 overall is a 3 million plus selling franchise, which is just huge, and of course gives us an idea of how Xenoblade Chronicles 3 is probably going to end up selling, based on all the numbers that we've gotten so far when it comes to debut sales numbers and kind of how the sales are looking on Amazon and looking at different charts as we get more than a month plus after release, it's doing better than what Xenoblade Chronicles 2 did, and there's a bigger install base. So I'm guessing that Xenoblade Chronicles 3 will be a 3 million seller plus fairly quickly. I don't think it's going to take as long as it took for Xenoblade Chronicles 2 to get to 2.44 million. I think it's going to be much faster because of the review scores that Xenoblade Chronicles 3 has over Xenoblade Chronicles 2, and also because of the Nintendo Switch install base too. So next up, we've got a game with Fire Emblem Three Houses that I knew beforehand that this was going to be the best-selling Fire Emblem game by a large margin, and that it was going to kind of shock us where we saw this game once it was all said and done. Now, it's not quite all said and done, but if anybody told you, let's just say 5, 6, 7 years ago, that Fire Emblem was going to be a franchise that can hit 4 million units in maybe 4 years or so, nobody would have been like, yeah, Fire Emblem's going to be able to sell 4 million units. But here we are at this point. Fire Emblem Three Houses is officially at 3.82 million units, and that's as of December 2021. So 3.82 million units. That is phenomenal for the Fire Emblem franchise, by far the biggest selling Fire Emblem game. And like I said, I felt a while ago when I made that video that people were going to be shocked on how well that it did. And I think that nobody really called Fire Emblem selling 4 million units, because no Fire Emblem game has even gotten close to 4 million units. You have to remember, Fire Emblem Three Houses was the best selling Fire Emblem game at a little over 3 million units back when we heard about it in 2020. Nintendo gave us a sales update. It was like summer 2020 or so. So that was the best one. So beforehand, nobody even thought that this franchise could get close to 4 million units. That was far better than it's ever done, but here we are at this point. So very happy to see that. And pretty much all of this proves that these are going to be staple franchises for Nintendo going forward. We're going to see more Monolith Soft Xenoblade in the future. We're going to see more Fire Emblem. I think that's going to be announced with a new Fire Emblem or a Fire Emblem remake sometime soon, maybe at the rumored Nintendo Direct for September. So I think that all of these sales numbers are very good for the passionate core fans of Fire Emblem and also Xenoblade Chronicles, and to see Bayonetta do over 1 million, getting ready and leading up into Bayonetta 3, shows that Nintendo fans with that huge install base are willing to buy quality games, are willing to go out there and purchase these Japanese RPGs, these other type of games that seem to be a lost art on the AAA level when it comes to the big three, at least. And we do see it from other third-party companies, but it's awesome to see Nintendo kind of say, okay, we can still make strategy RPGs, big ones, and they can do extremely well. We can still make huge open world RPGs like this from a first party development. We can still make huge open world Japanese RPGs and they can sell 2 million plus copies. We can still make the old school action games like Devil May Cry, but Bayonetta, and still sell over 1 million. So I'm looking forward to whatever's next from each one of these franchises. And once again, very good to see the sales numbers. Now, Nintendo did provide some updated sales numbers for some other games as well. Super Mario 3D All-Stars is over 9 million units. Super Mario Maker 2 is over 7.89 million units. The Legend of Zelda Link's Awakening is over 6 million units. Marvel Ultimate Alliance 3 The Black Order is at 1.5 million units, and Astral Chain is at 1.2 million units. So once again, very good to see games like Astral Chain and Bayonetta do 1 million plus each for platinum games, but I definitely feel that there's room to improve, especially if we got an Astral Chain sequel. So I would love to see them take that money and the investments, because pretty much all of those copies were sold at near full price. I mean, Astral Chain, it's not a very common game that you see in stores with physical copies, because I think that they just did a couple print runs of that game, and it's not like it had a huge eShop type of sales period or anything like that, but it made its money when it comes to what it did, and I think that we could see more of Astral Chain. I think that there's going to be a sequel based on some of the stuff that the developers have said, and I think based on the game selling over 1.2 million units, there's definitely a market there as well. Maybe on the next Nintendo Switch system. I'm not really sure exactly when they'd be talking about this, because the game didn't come out too long ago, and it's not like it sold like 5 million copies or something like that, or like 3 million copies. So I think they're probably going to take their time and make the best game that they can make, after they're done with whatever else they're doing, but we're gonna have to wait and see. Or maybe it's already in development. And it's also great to see that Nintendo brought back Marvel Ultimate Alliance. I mean, that was a franchise that I used to play a lot back in the day, and I thought that it was dead, but here we are, and it sold over 1.5 million. So maybe they make another one when it comes to Team Ninja and Nintendo. But what are your thoughts when it comes to everything here with these game sales? Let me know in the comment section below. All right, and moving on to the next topic here, guys. We do have an update on the next Assassin's Creed game, and it seems like it's going to make a number of big changes from the most recent major Assassin's Creed games. Now, there is a YouTuber by the name of Jonathan, which revealed some information on the new Assassin's Creed game, saying that it's going to be called Assassin's Creed Mirage. So that's the final name, apparently. Now, this game will be released in spring of 2023 between April and June, according to these rumors. The game will take place between 1860 and 1870 in Baghdad during the anarchy of Samarra. We will play as Basim in his youth as a thief until he arrived at the Hidden Ones, multiple cities to explore, separated by desert and rivers like the kingdom of Assassin's Creed 1. The game will be a return to basics with strong inspiration from the first Assassin's Creed, several RPG elements removed, no more dialogue choices, no gender choice, obviously, and no more level system. Now, the gameplay would be slightly different from that of Valhalla, less raw, and with new animations. Now, the eagle vision is back, but so is the drone bird. Basim will be able to use the string dagger to eliminate his opponents. There will be visions of Loki for how Loki manifested into Basim's body and consumed him. Ubisoft is secretly preparing the remake of Assassin's Creed 1 based on Rift/Mirage's work. They will reuse a large part of the assets. Now, the Assassin's Creed 1 remake should be integrated into a season pass, which will also include some extra DLC. Then it will be released a few months later. Now, Ubisoft will reveal the future of Assassin's Creed on September 10th during the Ubisoft Forward event. Now, also, Mr. Jason Schreier has basically confirmed a lot of this information as well. He writes for Bloomberg, stating that a person familiar tells me parts of this new Assassin's Creed leak are true, such as the name and the other stuff. Bloomberg already reported spring 2023, Baghdad back to the AC basics, and other parts are not. Multiple cities to explore. So there you go. But basically, some of this information is correct in there. Some of it might not be so, or maybe it's not quite exactly what they were thinking. But either way, it's exciting to see that Assassin's Creed is coming back to the basics after all of those RPG Assassin's Creed, in my opinion, just kind of missed the mark just a bit, which is weird coming from me because I love RPGs. But I'll be completely honest, those RPG Assassin's Creeds, like, I didn't like them at all. Like, I didn't like them, and I tried them to the point to where I just got tired of them and I just stopped playing. But at the same time, we'll see what this one does. We'll see how the gameplay works, what they kind of do with it, and if it'll get me back into Assassin's Creed, because I haven't liked an Assassin's Creed game in a very long time. It's been, I think, since Assassin's Creed 2 since I've actually liked an Assassin's Creed game and finished it all the way through. So we'll see if this one does things a bit differently, or let's just say that it gets so strong back to the basics that the original fans like it. But I do like the fact that they're doing an Assassin's Creed 1 remake. That game needs a remake because that game was so hyped up. I mean, it was overhyped, and it was nowhere near as good as it was hyped up to be. There was glitches, bugs, problems, and they've never really remastered that game or re-released it. So that game definitely needs a remake because it had a great idea, had a great theme. I mean, it was very unique at the time. It was dope, but the glitches and the bugs and the problems did not fit like the hype that the game got. But what are your thoughts on this when it comes to the new Assassin's Creed game? Excited for it? Let me know in the comment section below. All right, and moving on to the final topic here, guys, we have to actually talk about Nintendo stating that they have no plans to raise the price of the Nintendo Switch based off of the recent news that Sony will be increasing the price of the PlayStation 5 in multiple markets: Europe, UK, Japan, China, Australia, Mexico, Canada, Singapore, Malaysia, Indonesia, Thailand, the Philippines. I mean, pretty much everywhere but the US. Now, Microsoft also later confirmed that, hey, they will not be raising the price of the Xbox Series S or the Xbox Series X at this point either. Now Nintendo has released their own statement as well to Video Game Chronicles, saying that it has no plans to raise the price of the Nintendo Switch. Now, quote, as our president, Mr. Furukawa, stated at the 82nd annual general meeting of shareholders in June, said a Nintendo spokesperson. Quote, while we cannot comment on pricing strategies, we currently do not have any plans to change the price of our hardware due to inflation or increased procurement costs in each country. We will determine our future pricing strategies through careful and continued deliberations. While the final price to consumers is always determined by retailers, as Mr. Furukawa stated, Nintendo has no plans to increase the trade price of its hardware. Now, what he's meaning by that, for those who don't know, is that once Nintendo sells the system to the retailers, they can put it at whatever price they want. So that's why he says it's up to them. It's called MSRP. That's called manufacturer suggested retail price. But at the same time, like, I think that consumers are definitely looking at what's going on with the PS5 and saying, okay, hold up here. What's Microsoft and what's Nintendo going to do? But it looks like they're all staying pat, which is probably a good call. I mean, the Switch has been out for more than 5 years now. Like, why would they be increasing the price? I mean, we haven't really gotten a real price drop, quote unquote. I mean, we have gotten the Nintendo Switch Lite, which does cost less than the original Nintendo Switch, and we've also got a Switch OLED, which costs more than the original $299 MSRP. So we've kind of gotten one, but not really at this point. So I don't really see Nintendo increasing the price after all these years. I think that they're getting ready for their next generation system. But those are my thoughts on this, guys. What do you think about all the different topics? Let me know in the comment section below. All right, guys, that wraps it up for this video here. Thank you so much for watching. I do appreciate it. Please make sure you hit that like button, subscribe if you're someone new, click that notification bell, and we will see you for the next video. Peace.